Nick Dunn, you're probably the most hated man in America right now. Did you kill your wife, Nick?
Hi, Ben.
Hola, ¿qué tal?
You were an amazing Nick Dunn.
Thank you.
How did you enter the project? How did they approach you?
Well, David Fincher called me and said, will you have lunch with me? I want you to play this part. And it could have been almost anything with David because I admire him as a director, and as an actor now I've just focused on who are the directors I want to work with.
Well, it's a very heady, intoxicating cocktail. You know, this story plus David Fincher, you think, well, this is the perfect material for this director, and then you read this extraordinary character and you think, I could do this. I could go there with this one.
I haven't had the opportunity to be in a lot of movies that were taken this seriously. Just being a part of it, it's been crazy.
Everyone told us marriage is hard work.
The book came out in 2012, and here 2 years later, you know, it's already a movie. It's already got its own kind of new life as a film, which is really thrilling.
I was probably not attracted to it initially because I thought, there's a lot of book here. You know, it can be a daunting thing when you try to, you know, the experience of reading the book is probably 2 days. You know, you go through it pretty quick, but still, it's not 2 hours.
And it was a long process of, you know, reading the novel, becoming immersed in this character, talking to David Fincher about how you'd go about approaching a character with as many complicated layers as Amy Dunn.
You also had like that kind of experience with the media scrutiny. So did you bring that also, like your life to the?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's hard for people who haven't been in a situation where people are lying about them or telling stories that, you know, making them casting truth to look a certain way. So I was familiar with that, and I didn't have to do research in that particular aspect of the character. Although this is a different but parallel media track, which has to do with the way we treat criminals and fetishize them and follow their crimes and, you know, watch that 24 hours a day.
Is that theme something that you also wanted to make important during the movie?
No, I think it's definitely the fabric of it's in the fabric of the story. It was in the book and it's described in the book, and I think it's just a different thing when you describe that kind of maelstrom and when you see it.
Without a body, without a murder weapon, their only hope is a confession.
Amy is a really complex character. You don't know 100% of the time what she's thinking.
No.
How did you approach that?
Well, Amy's someone who's always self-monitoring. She's always thinking about how she's coming across, and then she's also reading whoever you are, and it's never just a simple, straightforward conversation with Amy. Amy never lets herself off the hook like that. She's always sort of floating somewhere above her real self, and it becomes exhausting. It's an exhausting way to live like that. You know, in a way, every moment is kind of a performance.
Amy lost a lot of blood in there. Then somebody mopped it up.
Why would they mop up the blood if they're trying to stage a crime scene?
Whatever they found, I think it's safe to assume that it's very bad.
But there are points in the previous drafts, that there was a different ending.
There was, yeah, no, there never was. That was just a confused quote that got kind of confused and then got picked up by other sites who weren't doing their homework.
How was it working for him with that style of directing?
I was so impressed by how he chooses to create each scene. He spends a lot of time on the filming of the scene, where a lot of directors that I've worked with in the past spend a lot of time lighting the scene and getting it looking good, and then realize how late they are, and they bring the actors in and they try and do it as fast as they can, and then since they're kind of satisfied, then they move on to the next scene. They spend a lot of time lighting it, and then there's a short time filming it. David tends to use a lot of available light, so it takes maybe half the time to light it, and then he just likes to sit in the scene with the actors and the camera and really film it so you're comfortable and you do multiple takes, not because that's annoying or because he's unhappy, just because he wants it to feel like a real, honest, truthful scene.
What's your favorite and least favorite thing about Amy?
Gosh, I mean, her brain and the way she plans, and there's, you know, I find there's a humor in there.
My favorite thing about this character was that he got to be flawed. You got to see him make mistakes, and I had to try to help the audience understand why. And I hope that when they see the movie, they'll go, well, he makes some bad choices, but, you know, I can understand where he's coming from.
You ever hear the expression, the simplest answer is often the correct one?
Actually, I've never found that to be true.